What if I told you certain personalities have infiltrated society since ancient times, threatening our sanity with their toxicity? What if great thinkers like Seneca identified these troublemakers ages ago, desperately warning future generations to stay far away from them? You see, Stoic philosophy exposes how human psychology works, including the harsh reality that negative people can corrupt our tranquility without us even noticing at first. But what do they look like? Who are these so-called toxic individuals Stoicism insists will infiltrate our lives, spreading discontent? Join me as we decode the ancient warnings and unveil 7 problematic personality types you'll wish you knew about earlier. 1. The chronic complainer. We all know one, the person who literally finds something to complain about in every situation. Someone is always out to get them, the world is perpetually unfair, and things never work out in their favor, even though they are clearly more deserving. As Marcus Aurelius observed, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it. Yet the chronic complainer seems to relish in their bitterness and resentment. They feed off of the sympathy and attention their endless grievances and victim narratives garner. But what does hanging around these incessant complainers cost us personally? Well, besides being a downright buzzkill, they also stress us out and sap our energy with their doom and gloom vibes. Over time, listening can skew our thinking as well. We start questioning if life actually is that miserable and whether people do have it out for us. This is why the Stoics warn about letting complainers occupy too much mental space. As Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. Don't wish to seem knowledgeable. We throw up our hands trying to fix them. Rather, limit interactions so you safeguard your own positive, productive mindset. The complainers will complain with or without you. As Seneca reminds us, we suffer more from choice than from necessity. Prioritize your energy for your own growth." 2. The conniving manipulator. You likely know the type, the charismatic charmer on the surface who secretly schemes to get their way by any means necessary. This person adeptly picks up on and plays upon human motivations and vulnerabilities, bending situations and relationships to serve their own self-interest. They are never content, constantly angling for more power, status, or resources. They flout ethics and explode when deprived. These cunning folks can be intoxicating at first. Who doesn't like charming people showering us with praise and excitement? But the wise Stoic keeps them at arm's length, not losing sight of the exploitative maneuvers under the surface. Marcus Aurelius himself dealt with manipulative personalities firsthand as Roman emperor. He journaled about this threat. When faced with people's bad behavior, turn around and ask when you have acted like that. This insight helps us avoid bitterness while still remaining shrewd. 3. The fair weather friend. We've all had friends who are super fun to be around and sing our praises when times are good. But once storms hit, they are nowhere to be found. Or even worse, they kick us while we're down out of self-interest. As the saying goes, they were friends for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Fair weather friends are just seasonal ones. The Stoics recognize that spineless disloyalty and conditional affection based on gain signifies poor character and values. As Seneca wrote, "A person's worth is measured by the worth of what he values." Fair weather friends value comfort and advantage over shared principles and meaning. Sure, we all have different capacities for providing support, but true blue friends make earnest efforts to understand, acknowledge, and assist even when personally inconvenient and without expectation of reward. They stick closer through adversity, not pull away. After all, if they will abandon you in crisis, can they really be trusted partners in reaching higher self-actualization? Weathering storms outs the steadfast from the undependable. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them." True friends reflect our light back steadier and more beautifully. Fair weather friends just obscure it temporarily before moving on. 4. The pessimist. You know who they are, the people always assuming the worst-case scenario, forecasting doom, conveying general hopelessness, and ruminating endlessly on all that could go wrong. Now add contamination elements. They want to bring everyone else down into their defeatism too. Marcus Aurelius addressed this succinctly. If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. Pessimists cling to irrational, counterproductive judgments about expected outcomes. Their gloomy outlook is a choice. One Stoicism says, harms both them and those who entertain their dire prophecies for too long. Why do pessimists threaten our tranquility so much? Well, psychology shows emotional states are catchy. We unconsciously mirror others' moods and attitudes as our own neuron pathways sync up. It's why hanging around negative people feels so draining. So, while momentary venting frustration is normal, perpetual doomsayers drag down our motivation, creativity, and emotional foundations. They erode optimism essential for growth and development. And if we vocalize pessimism too, it stamps destructive thought patterns into our psyche. As Epictetus warned, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Don't let pessimists hijack your positive judgment. Remain firmly in control of your internal state. Set boundaries, limit exposure, correct distortions with logic when possible. 5. The ephemeral pleasure seeker. We all know that person obsessed with non-stop stimulation, novelty, and indulgence. They chase every shiny distraction, fleeting thrill, and hedonistic high, whether drinks, drugs, parties, shopping sprees, risky romance, or adventure travel. As the Stoic Seneca described it, it is not the man who has too little that is poor, but the one who hankers after more. Yet the pleasure seeker is never satisfied, always benchmarking their happiness against the next high. This fear of missing out breeds anxiety and voyeurism. As Epictetus commented, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. But pleasure seekers invert this wisdom, fixating on the next must-have experience, believing it key to fulfillment. This lifestyle proves exhausting and emotionally erosive over time, however. Why? Stoicism teaches that true happiness comes from inner mastery, service, and meaning, not external stimulation alone. We tap deeper resources when not dependent on unstable outside conditions. 6. The arrogant blowhard. We all know that smug, self-important expert who is never wrong and quick to let everyone know it. They flaunt accomplishments, brag non-stop, grasp every chance to lecture, and aggressively correct even slight deviations from their superior worldview. As Epictetus chided, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." The arrogant rigidly cling to their opinions and credentials, refusing to acknowledge limits to knowledge or entertain other perspectives. This close-minded narcissism hinders growth. Beyond just obnoxious, unchecked pride, often alienates allies over time. Seneca warned, "The first thing which philosophy undertakes to give is fellow feeling with all men." In other words, sympathy and sociability. Arrogance erodes empathy and relationships. Stoicism alternatively values self-critique, correction and questioning as learning tools on the path to wisdom. As Socrates famously stated, "I know one thing, that I know nothing." Intellectual humility keeps us open-minded. So, while the boastful blowhard craves being the center of attention, shutting down dissent in order to seem important reveals only insecurity and fear. Their posturing rarely persuades others for long. Don't let arrogant types goad you into argument either, just to stroke their own egos. As Epictetus advised, when you argue with someone, you are trying to win. That is useless. Instead, be kind and move on. Preserve energy for more enriching company. 7. The professional victim. We all face setbacks, but some personalities seem to dwell in perpetual victimhood, relentlessly playing the woe is me card for attention, pity, or advantage. There is always some oppressor, bully, condition, or injustice actively keeping them down in their narrative. As Seneca observed, if you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. Yet professional victims refuse self-responsibility, preferring to blame shift, guilt trip, and manipulate sympathies through the specter of their suffering instead. This gets old fast, as it encourages powerlessness, resentment, entitlement, and paralysis. As Epictetus declared, man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of things. Playing hopeless victim is a choice rejecting personal agency. Marcus Aurelius adds, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." Stoicism focuses on controlling our response by challenging thought patterns keeping us trapped as victims when we have choices. I hope illuminating these 7 problematic personality types Stoicism warns against has been as insightful for you as it has for me lately. While we cannot control difficult people themselves, the Stoic sages remind us that we have complete say in who occupies our time and mind space. We choose whether to set boundaries and limits. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, stay you.